everybody. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning from the third day of the IBTM World here in Barcelona, where we are making Ljubljana Talks, and we've been talking to so many interesting people and more to come today. Thank you for following. We've been seeing some great results, and we'll make sure that all of what you've heard, and if you missed anything, we'll cut it up and you will get it all into your inbox and on YouTube. So, Gorazd.
Hi everybody, also from my side. It was an amazing day yesterday. Yes. We had a lot of talks. We actually talked with amazing people, amazing minds from our industry, and we would like to share. We would like to wrap up a little bit, and we are of course losing our voices.
Yeah, the voices are gone.
We're talking so much. But first of all, in the morning we met Vasyl Zhygalo from Hungary Convention Bureau. What can you say about her, Jan?
I mean, that was a brilliant talk. I think that some of the points you made and what Hungary is doing and how they're developing and how they're connecting the meetings industry with the cultural industry, it's really interesting. And of course, for me, one of the really interesting kind of points I would like to further discuss with her is about what their strategies on the Chinese market is, because they're doing something that we've not really detected with any other destinations in that form.
Exactly. Plus, she really knows why Budapest and why Hungary, and to get such a direct answer means that they have a proper strategy in place. Plus, they are really serious about sustainability, which really surprised me. So that was our first guest in the morning. Then the next one was Drew Holmgreen from MPI.
From MPI,
so, yeah. He talked about personalization of marketing. So AI and will definitely, by his opinion, help us to personalize the marketing. So what was your take off?
For me, what he was talking about is basically they see that there's changes and they're preparing different scenarios.
Yes.
And I find that very wise. I think that what MPI has done is they've gone through this quite a turbulent era of their events in Europe, and now they're coming back and they're trying to do something different, and they're trying to position their event, you know, in that slot for the entire Europe. I was amazed that they have so many members in Europe. Yeah,
definitely. I will quote one of his things. You know, he said, "So the best associations will provide kind of the best in class for those." I mean, he was talking about education, and I feel that that's exactly what MPI is doing. So very good quote, I would say. Yeah. Then the next speaker of the day was Gemmeke de Jong. He came from Flanders Convention Bureau.
She's so brilliant.
She's so brilliant.
She's so brilliant.
That was one of the highlights of yesterday, I would say, Ljubljana Talks.
I think I would definitely say Gemmeke brought in such an interesting view from a destination perspective, and also upon the industry, how they're doing and what they're doing, and they measure everything. You know, they're really brilliant at it, and it's so refreshing to see that they're basically doing what they're preaching.
Yes.
And they're also doing something with a long-term vision, but not just as a strategy-wise, but really in context of understanding the entire environment where they're in. I really like that.
Yeah. And be aware of the project which is called Be Future Project. It's a collaboration of different convention bureaus in Europe. Really financed by European Union, and this is a game changer.
It's a 3-year project.
It's a 3-year project, and it will define the role of technologies, sustainability, and actually it is about how to create a resilient European meetings industry. And of course, we talked also about how competitive is Europe against other competitors in the world. So it was really interesting discussion.
I mean, what you can see, you know, if we look back at what MPI is doing and what Flanders is doing and what some other, you know, organizations are doing, you can see that they're all trying to find their niche.
Yes.
And there's a lot of niches out there.
And then our friend from Serbia came to our studio, Dejan Bogdanov, Deki. He was really amazing, as always, actually, with his charisma and his passion towards DMC business and creativity. He talked about the new trends in our industry, and of course, he talked about what is happening behind the scenes in Belgrade. And he of course, talked about the new Sava Center opening, and many other things.
For me, one of the highlights was because what Vasyl did, that's Deki's company, what they did is they applied, the idea of the hybrid and virtual DMC, right? Which sounds strange. And within the conversation that we had, one of the points that he made is that all of these tools that they would be using as hybrid and virtual DMC, they're still using them in their regular DMC operations. It's just tools that make their lives better and easier and more effective. And I really like that, because it's not about just rejecting the virtual and hybrid world, just because perhaps we don't like it or we don't understand it, but the new generations and IT companies with which they work a lot, they have a different view of things.
Definitely. And then, of course, the afternoon started with a nice conversation between Petra and Sentil. Petra Stušek from City DNA and Sentil Gopinath from ICA. That was one of the highlights too of the day. So
that was a really good conversation, I think.
Actually, we figured out that there is a strong bond between ICA and City DNA. But of course, we also figure out that AI will not, it's not dangerous, I would say, but it's a helpful tool, and that we need to learn how to use it. And I will provoke a little bit Sentil. He still believes that ICA database will be the main asset of ICA in the future, and that AI cannot take this over. So that was one of the conclusions, but much more we talked about.
This is something where I actually agree to a certain extent with Sentil, because there is data that you can find in the database that is not freely available. And it's about how you use the data that is there. There's of course potential for growth and creating more filters that you would use and so forth. So I think you could apply certain machine learning features to the database, actually creating more personalized profiles, kind of optimizing that search that each destination is doing for themselves. So I think there's a lot of potential for development of that tool.
But then later on, Julius Solaris came to us to talk with us, the geek of the industry, if I can say that, because he used this right now before his presentation. So I can also use this, and we talked about so many things. He's now the founder of Bolt Push, and we asked him first of all what is his profession, and he explained to us that he's actually a content producer. And we talked a lot about content, what works and what do not work actually anymore.
I think we're both believers in content.
Absolutely, absolutely. And how good we are actually as an industry in producing content. But of course we touch also AI and so many angles.
I think that was one conversation that really has so many different angles to all the other conversations. It just opens up so many new additional dimensions of our industry.
For example, he was talking about imagine if you enter the show like this and the AI prepare everything in advance for you. So you just have a plan that you will meet 5 most important people for you, and AI is organizing that. So basically, that's really amazing. So we need to look AI beyond just ChatGPT. And he also mentioned that was the fastest adaptation of our industry when we started to use ChatGPT. So that was a kind of revolution, and it shows what can technology do for certain industries.
There are things happening in the industry that we may not see. Yeah,
exactly.
After that, we had Christoph Tesmar from Barcelona Convention Bureau. That was also a very interesting conversation. I mean, Barcelona is one of the leading destinations in the meetings world, one of the most touristic destinations as such. He really openly spoke about some of the challenges and the work that they're doing. And I think they're doing a brilliant job.
You mean our tourism? Eh? You provoke him with our tourism.
Yeah.
But we also learned that IBTM will stay forever in Barcelona, so we were happy with that. It's not officially confirmed, but Christoph said that, so we are happy with that, definitely.
I'm happy with that answer, yeah.
We also opened the question of automotive events, why Barcelona is so attractive for automotive. Actually, there is no specific strategy, but of course, because of the weather, because of the infrastructure, because of the power of the city, they really attract a lot of automotive events. They are definitely, I would say, a hotspot of Europe.
Yeah, I mean,
that product.
But also the numbers of corporate events, the numbers of association events that he presented. I mean, wow.
Yeah,
it's just wow.
Then we went to the client side again. We invited a nice and really important association. Sharon Aston was with us actually. She's running an NGO which is one of the biggest in Europe, organizing tons of events, and they are fighting for patients with I don't know what kind of diseases. Sorry to be not so precise, but it was really interesting discussion, and definitely her point was that also the associations it changed a lot after Corona. Eh?
Yeah, I mean, what she said in many ways, proves that there is not just one reality in the industry. It's not about virtual is dead, hybrid is dead, forget about it, delete it. One of the hypotheses we've made with Gorazd in our previous podcast was there was so much money put into these companies. Nobody's going to give it up just for the sake of us saying, oh yeah, we want to go live. I think what they're doing is they're using technology to democratize information they can provide as an association. It creates an added value for them. And, they're trying to create a smaller, more nimble event, which is very profound for fewer attendees live, but more virtual and hybrid. It's, for me, that was one of the conversations that is like, there is another way in the industry. It's not just about the live. Because we don't understand the technology, it doesn't mean that the kids look at it the same way. So
exactly. Yeah, and they are organizing hybrid event, which is really huge. So basically, hybrid is not dead. Although we are now talking a lot about that live is completely back, but it's not really true. Then, of course, there was a special guest of us, Christine Renaud, from Montreal, from Canada. Owner and founder of Braindate, amazing actually startup.
That was such a surprise.
Such a surprise actually. Yeah. We talked about learning a lot. So we talked about what is boring event versus inspiring event. What is creativity? How to bring creativity in life? Why we lose our creative inner child when we enter the school. How to get out of this boring meeting formats. Really interesting topic.
She had really good points on connecting, so connectivity amongst people, and also about learning. Exactly. The learning processes are something that I think everybody's trying to apply to their events because it creates that added value. And yeah, I mean, the whole concept that she developed is brilliant.
And we finish, of course, with Adriatic Lions. A group of colleagues of us yesterday it was, on the first day, it was a really amazing discussion with colleagues from the Baltics. We hosted Poland, Estonia, Finland and Latvia. Colleague from Riga actually. Yeah. So we realized they were quite shy at the beginning, but then
they opened
the Baltic Tigers really show the right, actually, I would say, energy and a reason why they are so successful.
There's an amazing synergy amongst them. And I think we can learn a lot from that. I mean, also our colleagues from the Adriatic region, there were some really interesting points in there, but definitely you can see that in a way we are actually more connected. We used to be in the same country, a long time ago, but you can see that there's more of this brotherly competitiveness
Yes.
amongst all of them.
Yes. But it was also interesting discussion. One thing which I provoked was actually the climate crisis, which was not really a topic to really seriously talk about it. Although this summer showed up to us that this is a serious situation. I would say the Mediterranean is a hotspot of climate change, and we need to be aware of that.
But there were some interesting solutions to it.
Yeah,
too,
that's true.
I
That's
gotta
true.
say.
That's true. But I don't want to be activist now. But it could happen that the events will move to the north. So we will need to find solutions for. And yeah, at this particular moment in Europe, Mediterranean is really a hotspot of meetings industry.
It is. And it's really happening for all of them. I mean, different things. Montenegro, of course, amazing for incentives. Croatia, you know, everything's happening in Croatia anyhow. Huge developments, investments, just like in Montenegro. There's stuff happening in Slovenia as well. So it's a very interesting region to look out at.
So this is a short wrap-up. What we experienced these 2 days. Today we will start with Vasyl Zhygalo from Reed Exhibitions and Petra Stušek. We'll ask some questions to them, you know, about how happy they are with the IBTM trade show and with the industry itself. And then later on we will also share with you some insights from the IBTM Future Trends Report. Alistair Turner will be with us. And we will wrap up shortly at 12 o'clock and finish this episode of Ljubljana Talks. So
thank you everybody.
Thanks for watching, and stay tuned.
Stay tuned, we'll be back soon.
In 10 minutes. Thank you.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another session of Ljubljana Talks here at IBTM World 2023 in Barcelona. With Gorazd, we have two amazing guests with us today to start off and in a way also to finish this whole experience of IBTM 2023. Now, with us we have, of course, Petra Stušek, the CEO of Ljubljana Tourism and the president of CityDNA, and Vasyl Zhygalo from IBTM World. Welcome. Thank you very much for being here. So I will first ask a question for both of you. We have just had a first full year without COVID, without any restrictions. So how do you see the industry come back? How do you see it going forward?
Who's going first? Oh, maybe
You go first.
gentlemen first.
If you would like. I think obviously a lot of things change post-pandemic, but I probably will try to summarize the confidence is back. So I think MICE industry quite often works on a very long cycle, so it's not about 2024, it's about 25, 26, and some of the congresses run up to 2030. And the first year where the confidence is back, so the conversations happening now, people are comfortable to talk about 28, and I think before that it was still a very short-term approach. That's probably one thing stood out for me.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. That's a look in the future. The look in the past is it really just the last year that we were still in the, under some restrictions? It sounds like ages ago, or decades, millenniums ago, and that sums up the feeling of the whole industry, because we are all looking forward, and it's not the question if it came back, it's the question of the moment now. How is, not even revived, how is it happening now? It's happening all very, very quick. A lot of events are taking place that was, in a way, still that were postponed from the pandemic times, on top of new ones. And we all have this new focus and new KPIs and even new patterns of approach to business, and that all sums up in events like this, and in basically the fast speeding or fast going on the industry, at the moment.
Just take the mic. So another question for both of you. We analyzed this morning the use of words. The most used word during this 20 Talks Plus was AI. So I need to ask you that. So what is your feeling about AI? How will help us, or is it possible that it's dangerous? So this is a question for both of you.
Do you want to take this one first?
Yeah, sure, no problem. My honest opinion is that AI is definitely a help tool. It's exciting. We learned from, let's say, hopefully, learned from the past that it needs to be developed properly in the ethic codes, because that's, for me personally, the biggest question of the near future. However, we have so many, AI can take so many things that humans were doing in the past, in a sense that humans can even deeper connect and make meetings even more, not only meaningful, but with different results, with quicker results, and most of all, with much deeper social components in how the meetings industry is working and was working in the past. So. In a nutshell, AI could be used is exciting, could be used really in a very smart way, exclusively for help. And that's where we should go from here on.
Probably just to add to your comments, I think AI is not the first change. It's not the first technology which changed the way we do things. I mean, we had telephones created, we had television, we had internet. And I hope what will be different with AI we as an industry, rather than being resistant to it, we take a lead and develop it in an ethical way and really get the most out of it. I think AI would have its application. Certain things it will help us to do a lot better, but it can't answer every single question. And I think at the end of the day, events are still about human connection, and that's at least for now AI cannot replace. So I think it would be bits where AI will transform the way we do things, but it's also things where AI wouldn't be able to help us.
I think that's a brilliant opening to my next question, actually, because we've just had this amazing experience of IBTM World in the last couple of days. So the question for you is, what were your expectations from organizer side of this event, and do you see it being achieved? And my question to you, Petra, will be, as an exhibitor here present, what do you expect from events like this?
I think I will take a slightly broader approach. So read RX Global. We are in a business of building businesses. So if I know that yourself and others walk out from after 3 days here with better business outcomes or better results for your business, then we've done our job. And I think it would be to our customers to judge if we've done a good job or not. But if we're talking about our expectations, I mean, they've been exceeded. Absolutely. The way probably we're looking at it, the number of meetings we had, the number of buyers, the number of visitors, number of exhibitors, the number of interactions, just the general atmosphere, I think absolutely it's exceeded our expectations, hands down. But we will go back in the office, we will get all the feedback, and we will go through that, and we will say, okay, here's what we need to improve. I'm pretty sure it will be something. I hope it will be something. So.
Yeah, I have to say that the atmosphere is amazing, which tells a lot about how important these type of events are, because we not only need it, but we miss it. We are humans. We need connections in person. But what to expect from in addition, what to expect from the meetings like that is definitely quantity over quality over quantity, in a sense that it's that it has a great digital support, so you really can connect with the ones that you either came for or you have opportunity to meet new, and that in addition to make like purposeful business connections and actual closure of the business. Our expectations are also very strongly on the educational part. So we not only get to know new trends, but to be inspired by them, and that's exactly what we come here for. So the human component and educational part.
Well, question for both of you, but two sides of the coin actually. The trade show like this creates incredible multiplier effects for Barcelona. We learned that from Christoph Tesmar yesterday, that he's really happy, and that he said actually that IBTM will stay forever in Barcelona. But how can you comment this? And Petra, for you, of course, I know that you advocate regenerative effects, and if we start with the multiplier effects and go to regenerative, this will be a nice combination. So what do you think, what is regenerative effect of such a big event like IBTM?
Thank you. I think obviously you need to look at, let's look at it scope 1, scope 2, scope 3, how far we go. Of course, having IBTM here in Barcelona benefits from all the people arriving here and staying in the hotels, going to the restaurants, and learning about the business environment, and that's a kind of immediate effect. But I wouldn't underestimate that every single exhibitor here, they meet potential buyers, and the potential buyers probably will bring either Congress or incentive programs or meetings to their city, to their town, to their country. So it would be a multiplier effect over the years. So, and hopefully that will bring the economic benefits. But quite often I think people underestimate as well a discovery of destination. So we see some destinations are really focusing, saying we want to become a tech cluster. And if you manage to attract a big tech conference, for example, you get all the tech specialists in your place. So they might well stay after, and they will set up their business. They will open their offices, or be it medical or anything else. So I think it depends on the strategy of the destination, and if they meet the right people here, that will have this multiple effect over the wider economy for the city or region or country.
Definitely one cannot go without the other, that's for sure. You know, multiplying effects are originating from regenerative approach. However, when we talk about the regenerative approach, we're talking about leaving the place better than we came to it, as opposed to sustainability approach, doing less harm. So we are making quite a few steps forward with it. With the events like that, when we talk about the regenerative approach, we're also talking about the legacy. And with the events like that, the legacy is definitely what you said, is coming over the years to the benefit of destinations of everyone who is here. However, I do agree it's also about getting to know or immerse into culture, getting to know the destination itself. And just to add a fragment from my personal perspective, yesterday I discovered one really lovely Christmas market in one part of Barcelona. And I spoke to the lady there who was doing some craft work, and it kind of reminded me of my talk with one of our craftsmen in Ljubljana. So we started to talk about it, and I connected them already to exchange the not only views but expertise of each other, and they were both really happy because they can learn one from another, and it brings the benefit to, you know, their environment in both destinations. So if you know, the regenerative effect is actually the sum of these type of fragments, and I'm really happy that basically a majority has the true desire to act in that way. We just need to be the ones to teach people how to experience that, how to express that, and to act upon it. And it sounds as simple as that, but it's easier said than done. However, it's going in the right direction. And it's a legacy of this type of multicultural exchange of knowledge and expertise.
I mean, this is... I think we're already going in the direction of regeneration, listening to you guys. It's beautiful. But if I quote you, we have to be really good in sustainability to be able to create regeneration, right, and regenerative tourism. So if I go one step backwards and ask you, how do you see sustainability being a part of this event? What would you say are the new new things that you've done? What are the changes? And perhaps, because Petra, you have a very broad view of this event, you've been, to so many different activities. Do you see these implementations in action? So, please.
So as RX Global, not just IBTM, but as a company, we're committed to be net zero by 2040. This is 10 years earlier than wider industry, and we sign up to this charter. So we have a very extensive progress where we drive the initiatives. I think 2023 was more about measuring the environmental impact, because you can't improve on something if you don't know actually what the impact is. Exactly. And we're fortunate enough, we run about 400 events around the year, so we do have quite a lot of data which helps us, and we work with the wider industry as well. But I think the latest things, we're looking half of our emissions by 2030. So as early as 2030, it's just 7 years away, 6 years away. So I could give you a few examples we do just here in IBTM as organizers. So the carpet you see, it's a fully recyclable carpet. So we're doing it for the first time. The water bottles, which are reusable, so we don't need to have, but they actually made out of sugarcane. So they're fully degradable, they're not plastic as well. So the lanyards we're using for the show, they are fully degradable as well. You have the badge holders, they are made out of paper. The challenge we have with the clip, that's made out of metal, but we're working on it as well. We're looking for solutions as well. So if you look at some of the features we build, maybe like our sales lounge or some others, we use recyclable materials where we can. but we also engaged with a lot of exhibitors and sort of start having a conversation, saying what else can we do? You know, can we help you, or can we share maybe some best practices of how you can build your stand, which could be a lot more sustainable friendly. The big part in any event, doesn't matter if it's this one or any other, venue play a big part. I think it's a source of energy. Is it a renewable energy? And I know Barcelona doing amazing things here, and we're partnering with a lot of venues around the world around that. Waste management is a big and important topic. Probably one of the most challenging at the moment, because if you look again, if we're talking about carpet or post-show, waste is a big thing. So that's definitely would be focus for us for the next few years. We will be looking at it. So yeah, that's just some of the things we're already doing today, and we're going to just do more and more. I think 2024 would be. I think 2023 we're going to get our results back. We're going to sit down and say, okay, this is where we can have a meaningful change in the short term, and this is what we want to do in the long term. But again, we can't do it alone. You know, it's take a village, and we need to come together as an industry, from customers to venues to partners, organizers, everyone else.
Short answer to your question is yes, we can feel it. The fact, I'm truly or honestly happy that you posed this question, because you had the opportunity to tell to the broader audience what you are doing, and this is the core of it. People need to not only know but also understand what the organizers are doing, and it's on top of all the measurement and actions is also very important, a good storytelling, because out of that people will follow. So the story needs to be told to people in a really appealing way, like you just did, and we will all feel even more, you know, proud to be this as part of this type of events. And I personally, Gorazd is my witness. When I came here, my first question was, is this recyclable? Seriously. And he said very confident, yes. So, and it could be refilled. It's easy to get. We know that the tap water is safe, you know. These are all the elements that everyone here starts to understand, and it was not so self-explanatory even less than a decade ago. You know,
yeah,
so
absolutely.
yeah.
I just the number of plastic water bottles now, you hardly see any. If you would be 4 years ago at the event, it was a completely different picture. So it just in 4 years, we changed the way how people think about it, which is amazing. It's just one example.
And sorry, Gorazd, I really need to emphasize that I'm really happy that you, the one thing that I wasn't aware of, that you made the comment about the carpets, because these are one of the things that I personally, that I'm really bothered with, because I know it can be a good contributor to non-sustainable approach, and I'm really happy to know what is behind it now. So amazing, thank you for that. Yeah.
What is completely hidden from our eyes is the waste management you did this year, which is amazing, which is unique for industry. So big kudos for that. So I would say we need to think beyond just carbon footprint too. This is a kind of wrap up of our discussion. But let me ask you, what will IBTM World look like in 2030, and what Ljubljana as a destination will look like in 2030? Let's look into the future. Okay.
So 5 years from now?
Yeah.
Okay. Or 7.
It's a big question, especially we ask about artificial intelligence, which is learning so fast, so
Exactly.
it's hard to predict. What do I think IBTM will look like in 2030? I will start with sustainability. I think it will be a lot more sustainable, and it would be a lot more things which we will see as a sustainable issue. That's definitely going to happen. I think technology will help us to connect even better. I think Julius was saying this morning in the session, you know, we are here amongst 10,000 people. You can't meet 10,000 people.
Exactly.
You just want to meet people who really matter. You want to talk to them, and it's still a bit of a challenge. I mean, it's we're doing a lot of work in IBTM, but it's still a long way to go. So I think technology will help us to make these connections even better. I think we will see a lot more experiential features. It would be as much about experience as about business. I think it would be how you interact with the show. How I think we see already things are coming up. I think like for example, culinary. You know, I think it's a big thing for destinations and leisure in MICE. I'm pretty sure some of the customers coming saying, what about culinary experience, you know, before I can bring my event? And talking about culinary, compared to 10 years ago, a lot more people now, let's say, vegetarians, you know, is destinations talking about this sort of, are we inclusive in terms of how we provide that experience? So I think experience will play a big part. So yeah, that's kind of probably a few things.
Maybe my answer will a little bit surprise you. However, I really believe in it. I really do. We really are working towards, not only in Ljubljana, but in many destinations, that it won't change much. You know?
Oh, yeah.
Because the important thing is that tourism per se, leisure or business, should grow organically and with really focused purposes business-wise. So number of visitors should stay approximately the same, however, number of overnight stays, expenditure, and the quality of experiences at the destinations, that should change, you know, and that we're going towards that, you know.
Super. We are coming to the end of our Ljubljana talk.
Yeah, it's very
last
close
but not least, we have fire questions for both of you. That's always the case with us. So basically, Vasyl, for you, Facebook or TikTok?
Facebook. I've neither, but Facebook.
Generational, or it is?
I have a 13-year-old daughter. I'm afraid I'm going to soon have all of them, so nothing to do with me.
Thanks a lot.
Petra, for you, fire or ice?
Oh wow! Obviously, I'm fire. However, I love winter, so that's a tough one. But I'll go for the ice. I can deal with if I slip, but if I get burned, it's harder.
A question for you: mountains or the sea?
Mountains every day. Mountains, absolutely, yeah.
And the last one, Petra, which is obvious, you are fighter for sustainable future, car or train?
Well, the obvious one is train. I love trains. However, we are not everywhere developed enough, so I would go for electrical cars at the moment.
Okay. Thanks a lot for being our guests.
Thank you very much.
Vasyl, thanks for a great show you organized for us. Really, we enjoy these 3 days in Barcelona very much, and it's amazing show. So
And thank you for giving the space to Ljubljana Talks.
Yes.
And we will see you next year.
Thank you.
We look forward to it.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Everybody, welcome back to another edition of Ljubljana Talks here at IBTM 2023. With Gorazd, we have another amazing speaker with us, Alistair Turner with IBTM World Trends Report. Oh, there's so many questions and so many answers you have to give us. Alistair, thank you for being with us and taking your time to be here on
Very
Ljubljana
welcome,
Talks.
lovely to be here.
Welcome to Ljubljana in a way. The first thing I have to say, it's such a tremendous work that you are doing with the report. What would you say would be the most used word, new word in the report?
I'm not sure it's a new word, but if you did a search along my report under the word AI, it is ubiquitous throughout. It is everywhere. AI across creative industries, across business industries, it's everywhere. And you know what? I make no apology for the fact that AI is crawling all over the report. It has a fundamental impact on what we do as an industry. So yes, it's everywhere.
Yeah. So what sets your report apart from others, actually? So why should everyone in the industry read this report?
Well, I think the main thing that I'm immensely proud of it. It's 70 pages, over 70 sources. But what's interesting is what I like to do through the report is it takes not just the research and the intelligence from within the events industry, it looks at what we call vertical markets. So we have a look at finance, we have a look at automotive, all the industries that invest in events, because we know if they're doing well, then we're doing well. I also did one on esports recently because it's a dynamic young industry that gives us an idea of what new industries think of events. And again, we take those processes, we take those experiences and that data, we cross-examine it geographically. So we look at Asia Pac and Africa and the Middle East, and we try and draw global conclusions across it.
Very interesting. Coming back to AI, what is the major story you would like to share about AI with us?
I've tried to simplify it.
Okay.
I'm calling it the 3 A's in English. The first is accessibility. Accessibility to me is going to be one of the most profound trends of 2024, and it's directly fueled by AI. Now that's everything from sound bending to audio captioning to superpowering accessibility solutions for people who, let's face it, have previously been unable or unwelcome at events. So actually that accessibility is really important. Second one is automation. Automation is going to help event organizers who are under extreme pressure at the moment to be all things to all people, to make their jobs easier. So automation will help them do that. And the third one is augmentation. And AI is going to superpower this idea of laying on a creative canvas on top of a live event, and that can be everything from digital creativity to more information being sucked into the event as well. So if you take those 3 things, they're 3 A's, but they're also the 3 things that event organizers want most. Save me time, give me closer engagement with my audience, and open my event up to more audiences.
It's a really good sum of things that you've just, with 3 A's. But to create a report is to have a really good insight into the current situation and the current state of things. So what kind of a projection into the future are you making?
The report is at the same time hugely optimistic and hugely depressing. I actually wrote the report and I was just finishing off when the tragedy of 6th of October took place, 6th and 7th of October, and it changed my worldview, and I wanted to go back and re-edit it. Look, the reality is next year 4.2 billion people will vote. In 2024, more than half of humanity will vote. That means that, in my view, 2024 will be the most important year for humanity in the 21st century by a country mile. So why is that important to events people? Events people stand for authentic communication. Now, I said on the stage just then in front of a very large audience, I said, you may disagree with what I'm saying about the Trends Report, you may agree with what I'm saying, but you all know that I said it. The moment I walk out that room, the moment that content walks out the room, I could be translated into Spanish, I could be translated into Mandarin, I could be replaced with a bot, it could be manipulated in any way. So if you've got 4.2 billion people voting, this exchange of personal information in front of people has an incredible value. So I predict both a scary year, but a year where I feel like events will need to lean in and show their massive value to these debates.
It's a very interesting point you're making with the elections and the influence of general political situation onto our industry, because I think often, I don't know, destinations or even organizers are not aware of the external factors that can impact their lives or their existence in, through such a thing as election. Do you think that there's a link to, let me put it this way. Sure, there's going to be a lot of elections. Some of them are within totalitarian regimes. We know who will win. We know some of the elections we are hoping that we don't know who will win or whatever. But how do you project the happenings of the world, of all these pillars, onto our sector?
I think one of the interesting things that I hope the report does is draw conclusions from world events, from ecological, geographical, geopolitical, economical, and draws conclusions that affect it. A simple one is things like sustainability. So sustainability is a ubiquitous trend across all industry. So how do we bring that into the events industry and make changes around it? And we look at international travel and things like that. I think the second point is, what are the, I've looked intensively, probably over the last, I think it's nearly 10 years I've been doing this, what are the ideal conditions for success for the events industry? And I've identified them as economic growth, industry dynamism, so industries that change, things like Internet of Things, things like that, and anything that fuels the knowledge economy. All of those things mean we have product launches because there's innovation, we have conferences because there's knowledge exchange, we have growth, so we have exhibitions to sell products and things like that. All of those hit us. And when business is thriving, they want to motivate business, so we have incentives as well. So all of those things you could glean from the data that comes in. And the minutiae that you find in there is, okay, we've seen the data, we've adapted the trends, but okay, what are the things that are coming up that perhaps we need to go and find out, we need to investigate so that we can perhaps predict what 24 and 25 will look like.
I just heard from Julius Solaris that we live in a golden era of events. That's what he said on the stage, but on the other side, the problem with sustainability is the growth, actually. We are still obsessed with growth. But the Mother Nature is showing us that it's not possible to grow because there is a certain limit. And at the end of this process, we come to entropy, which is explosion at the end. So basically, that's happening now. So is it possible to grow, or we need to think about degrowth?
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends. Do you know what was interesting? I got a question yesterday, which was, what's going to happen to businesses post-pandemic? Because we have to remember we're still post-pandemic. Julius is absolutely right. And I couldn't agree with him more in terms of this golden era of what's happening. But what I said is we've got to stop looking at the events industry as what happened before 2019. There is a completely new model, a completely new model of events that isn't about people in the room. We are now being evaluated on strategy and creativity and engagement, and based on what I was just saying in terms of the political thing, authenticity. So this isn't about growth of the delegate. This isn't about growth of the business. It's about the value that we put on there. And it's not about numbers. It's actually about value. So I think the events industry has for too long tried to quantify itself through numbers when it doesn't need to. It needs to quantify itself through more emotional systems. And I think that's where we get the value. It's a hard thing to do, but we have to do it like that.
Here we come to clash, which is always on the table. Clash between creative part of the industry and logistics, between meeting architects and those who are just providing and moving people from A to B. So are we in the future part of creative industries, or we are part of, I would say, tourism, where they are putting us or pushing us actually?
I mean, I have for a long time and have never wavered of that. We are part of the creative industries. And I'll tell you why I'll agree with that even more is because AI has just made lots and lots of those systems irrelevant. AI will automate all those difficult things that we do. They will free up time. Now, what do you do when you have time? You get creative. And my view is that this is, and again, this is why I agree with Julius so much. This is a golden era. This is a chance where all these great event professionals who for too long have been working late, underpaid, understaffed, trying to move chair A to table B, we don't want them doing that. We want them being creative masterpieces, and that way the content shines.
In a way, you are proposing that basically the essence of our business has to change. Because, you know, moving the chair from one shape to the other, the tables up and down, it's similar to the hotel business, which is based on a business model from 1930s, which is a room, a window, which is a real estate, selling the square meter into, you know, going into the experience, creating the added value.
Someone once told me the great metaphor here. He said, do you think Steven Spielberg sets up the camera, puts the lighting in there, the set design, and says, quick, someone put a story in the middle? Yeah. He doesn't. He says, I've got a story to tell. He creates the story and then he says, no, I'm going to put the set around it. And for too long, again, we put the value on the camera and the set, and it's the story at the center. An event is a medium to tell our stories, to create great content. And I mean, in an exhibition like this here at IBTM, I mean that as the sales story, the discussion that's taking place, the relationships are built. That's the story. The infrastructure built around it, as beautiful as it is, should ever be secondary.
From what you're saying is that perhaps if we look into the broader society, that perhaps we should be talking about a change of values.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't think this is a new trend. I think it's one. Do you know what it is? It's always been there. Has it been valued enough by business? Because let's face it, I always say about the events industry, no event has ever happened without a business or a brand, right? So this is all about, does business value events as a medium for talking and doing what their objective is? There's another great quote that I had was, no CEO of a major brand has ever lent out his door and said, quick, get me an event. He said, get me value, get me sales, get me marketing, get me presence, get me... And the person says, great, we'll have an event. So this is about businesses understanding, especially because they lost events for 2 years during the pandemic, just how much they miss engagement, authentic conversations, the chance to have informal chats, alchemy of ideas, collaboration of ideas in medicine, science progression. This is where we're at, you know? And again, we've been talking about this for a long time. Maybe it took a pandemic for everyone else to catch up.
Yeah. In the last 2 days we talked a lot. As I said, one buzzword we covered, AI, then second one, sustainability. We covered a little bit, not completely. And one was also coming out, which is out-of-the-box thinking. Quite a lot of destinations is saying that, but what is actually out-of-the-box thinking if we take into consideration your research actually?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe it's about creativity. Maybe it's about trying to look different from the person next to you. Okay. Maybe it's about stunning crowds into action. Maybe it's about that. I think this idea of out the box thing, I think, do you know what? My view is creativity is always built upon intelligence. It's no one just comes up with an idea about an event. It takes intelligence and understanding of audience and demographics and feeling and design, and that's what it comes out. So sometimes this out of the box thing, it almost sounds like it just jumped out. It didn't. It's been built on a platform in intelligence and research and demographic, and then the idea is incredible. So I think a challenge whether I need more out-the-box thinking. What I want is loads and loads of event creatives everywhere. What I want is all those people that we lost to the TV and broadcast industries to come back with their learning. And I want a load of event professionals that have been schooled in broadcasting to go into broadcast industries and bring their wares there as well. And that's where I think we'll fit.
Amazing. Coming back to the content which we are producing as here actually at IBTM. Are we good in that in our industry? Is something missing actually? How well we promote our destinations by your point of view? And is it possible to control the content, or this is absolutely impossible? Because some brands, you know, always believes that they can control the content. I just saw a big actually affair of Coca-Cola in Croatia. It happened 1 week ago, and they couldn't control the catastrophe around. But I will not go into details. But
I heard a brilliant. I don't know whether you know the films of Christopher Nolan, who did the Batman and Inceptions and things like that. And he says the project is never over until the audience is fed back. And I think marketing needs to do that. I think if you think about marketing mediums, and I think this is a relevant conversation to have around the events industry, if we look at the old school of marketing, a direct piece of mail that goes into your magazine is a projection. An advert on a wall is a projection. An event is a conversation. Yep. A conversation between a brand and its audience. So that makes marketing a continual positive loop. So that's again why events are growing in amongst other marketing mixes. There's some amazing research by a financial institution actually in the UK called AJ Bell. And they track which marketing mediums get axed during times of economic downturn. Events were always the top. They've always been the top. At the moment, they are now at the bottom. We are now the last thing to get axed because they understand that if they want to have conversations with their customers, their stakeholders, their clients, their citizens, then you do it as a conversation. You don't project, you converse.
So in a way, we've become an integral part of modern business making, put it this way.
And social media has a massive thing to change. So if you look at everything from what you watch on the TV, everyone turns around and says, no one goes to online and just sends a social media. They might do. They might take a picture of their cup of tea, but that's not very good. They need a trigger. They need an instigation point. It's always an event. It's a TV show. It's something they saw. It's something they went to. That's when they take it to online. It's because they've been triggered into an action. The most social media exposure you'll ever get is around a major sporting event or a major music event. That's when people take to online because they're sharing something that happened. Events trigger other forms of marketing. And it used to be that the advertising that the event would support the advert. Now the advert supports the event. And what you're increasingly seeing is major brands turn around, instead of saying, hello guys, this is my great Coca-Cola can or my great chocolate bar, they'll say, we're doing an event. Why didn't you come and see us there? And that's what advertising looks like now.
So do you think, because we are at the trade show, and trade shows have a specific way of designing them, being designed, and how they're run and how it's done. I mean, IBTM World, so many brilliant changes in terms of sustainability and all that. Do you think that everything that we discussed will impact in how trade shows are designed in the future?
I hope so. I hope so. I think that it was an interesting conversation I had with an event professional. And I said, what is it you event professionals, why are you always last to adopt things? And he said, because I have one shot. And he said, if I have one shot, don't make me the most innovative person in the room. So I think I think we as event people, we need to be forgiving of ourselves. We are not going to see IBTM change overnight, and nor should we expect that to happen. What I hope will happen, it will carry on evolving in a really, really smart way. And I think we're sometimes a bit harsh on our industry events. We turned around and said it looks the same. Okay, the carpet's the same, it's red carpet. But you know what? Look at this. We're on a podcast, but we're surrounded by a really cool booth with a really, really cool innovative solution. I'm looking at really, really cool lighting displays. I'm looking at innovative marketing that goes beyond just showing pictures of countries. I'm seeing more people in shops. Do you remember that? Beyond features, values. They're selling values and benefits. They're not just selling products. So do you know what? It is changing. And we need to, I think, as responsible marketeers or in responsible industry, we need to notice that a bit more than sometimes I think we do.
And the carpet is recyclable.
And the carpet is recyclable, and it's ethical, and there's new sorts of carpet out, which is cheaper to produce as well.
Yeah, that's true.
There's so much going on, and we don't notice it. So I think sometimes we should assume, as I would want from an event, that my intentions were valuable and I've thought through a lot, instead of assume that they weren't, and they were terrible.
Guys, IBTM Trends Report is a must read. But anyhow, can you wrap up this report in 5, I would say, the major things you would like to share with our audience? Let's try to wrap up like that, I know it's difficult because it's really, really, a lot to read there, but
I think
let's try it, Okay.
I'll try and do this briefly, because I think first and foremost, things are going to get scary. Things are going to get scary out there. I think what's most important for the events industry is we stick to our success, which is engagement, which is authenticity, strategy, and creativity. If we do that, if we hold our nerve, not only will we grow as an industry, not only will businesses respect and like us more, but actually our place in the world will expand. And I think that could be really exciting.
Amazing. And we finish usually with short fire questions. So these are easy ones, but you can comment on that.
Of course.
Front stage or backstage?
Me personally?
Yes.
Front stage. I'm a massive show-off.
Okay. Jan?
Democratical or not democratical elections?
If only we could choose. No, sorry. Democratic.
Okay.
Democratic.
Okay. Next one. Cat or dog?
Cat. Actually,
Okay,
cat.
Okay. Can you explain a little bit more?
I was
No?
brought up. My parents had cats loads of them. I'm actually allergic to cats and dogs, so I don't have any. But I think cats.
Okay, and
They
Jan
walk by
Jan will
themselves.
finish with the last one. Okay.
Fire or ice?
Oh wow. Can I cheat? Life is about balance.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you very much for finding a
welcome.
balance between the two of us here at Ljubljana Talks, and you were the last guest on the Ljubljana Talks in this edition. So thank you very much for your time.
It's been really great. What a great conversation. Thank you.
And we look forward to not only reading this report, but to see what the next one brings.
1 year in this events industry in this world. Who knows what November will bring next year? But I can't wait. Thank you so much, honestly.
Thank you also to our audience, and thank you for tuning in. Hello again from IBTM 2023 here in Barcelona, and it's Ljubljana Talks again, and we actually have a surprise guest, Tomaž Krušič from Inters DMC, from the Adriatic region, Ljubljana, Slovenia, Croatia. Basically, you covered it all. Tomaž, thank you for taking your time.
It was my pleasure.
And we're going to talk a little bit about IBTM, about the incentives market. What's it been for you like this year that was the first full year without any limitations regarding COVID?
Actually, it was good, of course. So we are back on track. Perhaps not 100% as it was before COVID, but yeah, we are on a good way. What we have seen is that we are getting groups and requests from not only from traditional markets, but also from the markets which were not on, let's say, our main list, where we don't have representatives, which means that Slovenia is more and more present. And actually, obviously, this is the result of years of marketing strategies, investments, and we just hope that this will continue.
So you operate basically in the entire region. You just said Slovenia is coming up. You have a very big office in Croatia, Montenegro. Where do you see, let's say, what would be your favorite places or favorite products of this year that you say are something special?
My personal favorite places are, well, speaking about business, about groups coming to the region, of course, everything more or less depends on flights. This is the reality. That's why, for example, groups with highest budgets, big numbers and so on, they mainly choose Dubrovnik or Split because of the flights. Of course, there is also other infrastructure available, big hotels, hotel brands and so on. But speaking about the experience, I think that from the feedbacks which we are receiving, guests are really amazed with Slovenia, because still many of people don't know what to expect, and once they come to Slovenia, they are really, really surprised. The diversity, quality of food, wines, weather, countryside, cities, everything functions, and this is something that is really a big surprise for everybody who comes for the first time.
So Tomaž, if I ask you, or you pitched for last 3 days, all these 3 countries, but if I ask you why Ljubljana or why Slovenia, what would you say actually, in a really short explanation?
This is a question that is hardly to be answered, because when we speak with potential clients, with agents, we come to the conclusion that if you say Slovenia, generally people don't have a clear picture. Because if you say Croatia, people have picture. If you say whatever, Germany, people have picture. If you say France, people know what to expect. If you say Slovenia, people actually don't know. What is this Mediterranean country? Is it an Alpine country? What it is? So, under my opinion, if I would like to describe Slovenia in one word, is the huge diversity. This is something that makes Slovenia definitely unique in Europe. Short distances and the diversity.
Tomaž, you created some great events this year, remarkable events in Ljubljana. But I just learned from one of the podcasts something about Giorgio Armani. He said, one Slovenian designer of yachts said that if you want to create something which is really good, it must be a little bit more than nothing. Malo više od ništa, he said actually. So is it true also for events? How to create memorable event, which is really like Giorgio Armani event, I would say, or you know?
First of all, you have to be creative.
Yeah.
If you are not creative, then you can forget about good events. Being creative means also that you can do a really interesting activity also with low budget. So we are developing the B story. Okay, actually you started with this couple of years ago. And if you would describe to them, let's say, we are going to visit a beehive or whatever, at the beginning, it doesn't really look sexy. But once the activity is done, guests are absolutely amazed. Absolutely amazed. And this is something what makes Slovenia special. For example, this is an activity which doesn't cost much, but it's a genuine experience, and it is, let's say, also unique for Slovenia. So everything goes into the right direction, green, sustainable, and so on. And this is something, for example, not much money, creativity, and good content. On the other side, we had a really nice big event where the client was a little bit conservative, and before they have organized farewell dinners and so on, gala events on a very traditional way, round tables, a DJ, nothing special. But this year we managed to convince them that with some more input they could really create something totally out of the box, especially for them. And they have said yes, and again we created something that still everybody is speaking about. And this is something that you get with experiences. It's not something that you can do if you're for the first year in the business, but after a while you can feel if the client is going to follow you, listen to you, or it's going to be the opposite.
Well, you've been in the business for a while, right? So the DMC actually is one of those suppliers to event organizers which can really deliver a lot of creativity, originality. And I think if anywhere somebody wants to organize an event, they should be talking to a DMC. I'm a firm believer that if you want to create that special experience to the delegates, a DMC should be included. What would you say, how do you see the perception of DMCs in time where there's so much information online, when there's so much information that people can find directly? Do you see that the DMC's role is still there, or do you see that some people are trying to do it on their own?
Of course, they tried, many agents, clients try to do things on their own, but not because I'm a DMC, but really being completely open. I think that a good DMC is an absolute added value. It also, DMC can help also with budgets, because if the DMC has good connections with suppliers, and the DMC should have good connections to suppliers, so we can help with the budget. So we are definitely more creative. We know the region, we know all the potential problems, we know for locations that are hidden, that cannot be found on internet. So definitely yes, DMC, yes.
I need to ask you, in addition to this, Tomaž, about artificial intelligence, because we're asking this to everybody we talked with. Is it possible that AI will replace what we are doing actually?
No.
So,
No way.
Okay.
Just in writing text, perhaps.
Okay. Okay.
But otherwise, I don't think so.
You still believe in live events?
Yes.
Absolutely. We are coming here to Barcelona from the beginning. At least we both of us. So why is this place so important in your calendar, I would say, every year?
It's a place where you have to be, simply. Yeah. Even if your diary doesn't look really promising, you just meet people here. So you have to be here.
Yeah. Do you think that in the future these formats will change a little bit, or it will stay the same?
More or less, it will stay the same. You still need a booth. You still need a place where you meet people. Perhaps there are going to be slight changes, but actually, yeah. How many years we are attending this?
I don't know, 50.
Yeah, but it's still more or less the same. And I guess this will, more or less, it will remain the same.
So it works.
Actually, it works, because I don't see any other option that could replace an event like the IBTM.
Well, we found out yesterday IBTM is here to stay as well, so we'll be coming to Barcelona for a while. I have one more question in the way of, because you really feel the pulse of the destination. You are talking to all of the suppliers, all this. What would you say is the trend or perhaps the thinking of where the incentive industry is going? Do you see like a development, a change?
Yeah, of course. We are all speaking about green events, sustainable events. This is trend, and we all have to focus in this direction. But on the other hand, good activity, good meal, wine, fun. This is what makes incentives interesting, and I think that this will still remain the main focus. Incentive trip is a reward for the participants, and they should enjoy. Okay, of course, there should be some education included in a way, but still, fun, good food, beautiful locations. This is what makes
incentives are alive and kicking and growing.
Tomaž, one more personal question for you. Where do you find your own inspiration? I know that you love music and many other things, but what is your biggest inspiration, I would say?
Actually, the biggest inspiration would be really, it sounds perhaps a bit old-fashioned, really making people happy when coming to the destination. And I mean, you are really happy two times in the process of let's say event planning. First moment is when you get an event confirmed, and the second one is when they are leaving and when they are happy.
And you are still happy when you receive confirmation still after all these years?
Of course. This is what
that's important.
This is what is driving us.
That's the spark actually in the eyes. Yeah. So we usually finish with short fire questions, and we will of course do that also with you. So the one is beer or wine?
Wine.
Okay, can you explain this?
Wine is much more complex than beer, and healthier as well.
Red wine or white wine? Or something else?
Quite a lot also orange. Because it's not because it's trend, but it's the natural way how to produce wines. But anyhow, yeah, of course, summertime white, winter period red.
Top. And one provocative, since you are covering the whole region, Slovenia or Croatia? This one is difficult, I know, but
it's really hard. It's really hard to say. If we are honest, of course, Croatia is much larger than Slovenia, so it offers different opportunities, but on the other side distances are longer, so you cannot really switch from one region to another in half an hour. It takes time, but really hard to say. Both are great, but Slovenia is a jewel, and Slovenia, as mentioned before, the biggest advantage is the huge diversity and short distances.
Mountains or the sea?
Mountains close to the sea.
Tomaž, thank you very much for taking your time and doing Ljubljana Talks in Barcelona. Perfect.
It was my pleasure. Thank you, Jan. Thank you, Gorazd.
Great. Thank you. And thank you. See you soon. Bye-bye.